Okay, in continuing our discussion about the 7 aims of research, we are now to discuss the 4th aim of research. So, to discuss the 4th aim of research, let us take a look at this example. So, let's say or suppose that you designed a research in which you use a certain species of plant for 2 varied setups. So, let's say in setup A and setup B. So, you used 2 kinds of plants. Okay? So, in setup A, you planted the plant in a shaded area. Then, you used loam soil. And then, you watered it with 1 liter of water. Okay. Then, in setup B, you planted the plant in an open field, used loam soil, and also watered it with 1 liter of water. Then, after 10 days, okay, you observed the changes, okay, between the 2 plants. So, in setup A, let's say this is setup A, this is the plant in setup B. So, in setup A, the plant grew 5 centimeters tall after 10 days. And then, it has 3 leaves. So, 3 leaves. Then, while the plant in setup B, it grew 10 centimeters tall after 10 days. And then, it produced 7 leaves. Okay? So, from this situation or experimentation, what will be your observation? What do you think is the root cause of the difference among the 2 plants? Because the outcomes are extremely different. It has 3 leaves, it has 7 leaves, 10 centimeters, and 5 centimeters. So, you observed in setup A, you planted the plant in the shaded area. While in setup B, you planted it in an open field. Meaning to say, the sunlight. Okay, so meaning to say the sunlight was the root cause of all the differences, because in the setup A, it was not able to access sunlight, while in setup B, the plant was able to access sunlight. So meaning to say, you can infer that the sunlight was the root cause of the differences. So meaning to say, the sunlight, okay, the sunlight affects the height and number of leaves of the plant. So that would be our main conclusion. That would be our main observation. So from this situation, okay, from this whole situation, can we identify the dependent and dependent variable? Yes, we can. Okay. So let us try to discuss the difference between dependent and independent variables. Okay. When we say okay. So when we say independent variable or IV for short, okay, it is the one that affects or gives cause. Okay, it is the one that affects or gives cause to the experimental unit. So what was the experimental unit in our situation? The plant. Okay. While the dependent variable or can be denoted as DV, okay, so the dependent variable is the one that depends, Okay? It is the one that is affected. The one that is affected. And it is where the effect was evident. Okay? So meaning to say, in our case, in the situation earlier, we can say that the experimental unit was the plant, right? The certain species of plant. And then, the independent variable was the sunlight because it affected the plant. Now, what would be our dependent variable? Okay, the dependent variables are the height of the plant and then the number of leaves. Okay? So meaning to say, the height of the plant and the number of leaves of the plant was dependent on the amount of sunlight the plant receives. Okay? So that is the main concept. Okay, the main concept of our situation. So the height and the number of leaves of the plant greatly depends on the amount of sunlight it absorbs. Okay. So, meaning to say, this will introduce, or that situation will introduce us to the fourth aim of research. So, what would be, or what do you think is the fourth aim of research? Okay, the fourth aim of research is to determine the cause and effect. Okay? So, the cause is the one brought by or produced by the independent variable. Okay? While the effect can be observed in the dependent variable. So, a research or a type of research where both independent variable and dependent variable is present will be known as experimental research. So, when we say experimental research, it is a kind of research that utilizes both independent and dependent variables. So, later on, it will be discussed even further. But for now, let us settle to the fourth aim of research, which is to determine the cause and effect. So, in the next video presentation, we will now be discussing the fifth aim of research.